Next, technology sometimes. It's a little slow. We'll just go to the forward-looking statements. The forward-looking statements, Ynvisible Interactive is listed on the Toronto Stock Exchange venture under YNV and the OTCQB under YNVYF and Frankfurt 1XNA. Now, the forward-looking statements are a little bit long, but as you know, if you can just peruse them, there will be some information here that's forward-looking. And yes, and then afterwards, you can submit some more questions. Also, I received questions before this webinar started, and we'll be answering those after Ramin's and Keith's update. And remember the questions at the bottom, if you submit them, we will answer that. And please follow us on social media as well for updates. The speakers today is Ramin, now Ynvisible's permanent CEO, and he will provide you an update. Ramin?
Thank you, Alicia. Thank you all for attending our webinar. I have an announcement and a few slides just by way of setting context. I'm going to go through maybe 15 minutes of presentation, followed by the more important part of the webinar today is taking your questions. So we are focusing on, in 2022, we have realigned to focus on not only innovation, which you have heard a lot from us, but product commercialization, getting products to the market, generating sales from our innovation. To that end, we have appointed Ines Hendricks, our co-founder, as our Chief Operating Officer. I'm very pleased to be working with Ines. She's got a deep understanding of Ynvisible's culture and our operations. So she's going to be critical to our success as we are looking to bring products to the market. So just wanted to announce that. In addition to that, as Alicia mentioned, I have taken the role of the CEO on permanent basis. So this, again, is aligned with our board of directors focus around transforming us from a innovation and marketing company into a product commercialization company. So with that as context, I'm going to share with you how we are looking at our business and how are we looking at bringing products to the market. As you know, we offered ultra low power, flexible display. It's a reflective display. We are positioning ourselves, or we have positioned ourselves as e-paper, electronic paper. And you're going to be hearing a lot more around that, what we mean by that and how would that translate into the initiatives that we are running. Next, Alicia. So when we look at our product commercialization, we look at it in 3 timelines, 3 specific horizons. Horizon 1 is short term, products that we're going to commercialize within 6 to 12 months. These are near-term products. These are markets that have an immediate need, and we have customers that are asking for our product to be integrated into their value proposition. Horizon 2 is 1 to 2 years, plus or minus 3 months, and Horizon 3 is 2 years plus. For the sake of simplicity, if you want to look at this, Horizon 1 for us are products that we're going to commercialize in 2022 and 2023, first 2-3 quarters of 2023. Horizon 2 projects are projects which are going to be Q4 of 2003 and 2024, and Horizon 3 projects are 2025. So if you could keep this framework in mind, I'm going to tell you some examples of projects that we are working on with customers. On Horizon 1 projects, we are looking at, next slides, digital signage. Digital signage there is an unmet market need for plug and play signage. What we mean by that, next slides. Alicia. These are areas where we can sell a display module, a plug and play display module, not a display product, but the display modules. Some of the applications, I'm going to kind of quickly flip through the pages. They're self-explanatory. They are for indoor applications, numbers, pointers. Next slide, Alicia. Alphanumeric signage for both indoor and outdoor type of applications. And as I say, the pictures are fairly self-explanatory. There is a unmet market need and customers that we are working with to bring this product to the market 2022, 2023. Next one, Alicia. Okay. The next slide, go to the next slide. This slide shouldn't, okay, my apologies, go back. So the next Horizon 2 products are supply chain monitoring systems, cold chain supply chain monitoring system. We have talked about this in our previous webinars. These are called temperature loggers for the industry term for them is temperature loggers that track the freshness of the product across the supply chain. In this case, it's for fresh products like meat, but not only that, we're looking at other applications. Next slide. Food and perishables, drugs and medicines. We have talked about that. That's another area where cold chain monitoring across the supply chain needs to be tracked and visibly shown. Next. Go to the next slide then, sorry. Another area where we are looking at for Horizon 2 projects, products that we are looking at. So Horizon 1 is cold chain monitoring system and signage. For Horizon 2, we are looking at areas where people are looking for variable information data. For apparel, price tags, we are working with a customer, active customer that's looking for variable information pricing on apparel. Next one. Electronic shelf labels. This is a very, very large market. This is probably the largest market for largest existing market for reflective technology. There is a very large presence in this market by another company, but there are areas where they cannot meet the price performance applications, and those are the areas we are targeting for electronic shelf label. This is an existing application. Our value proposition is around a lower power, lower cost electronic shelf label. Next slide. A third application for Horizon 2 is smart cards. Smart card, there is a need for changing the CVC in back of smart cards or putting information, visible information on cards, smart cards. We are working with a couple of customers around coming up with the right price performance type of product for the smart card. So if you look at our Horizon 2 projects, things that are next generation for us, first generation being digital signage and temperature data loggers. Horizon 2 examples or active customers that we have in pipeline are around smart cards, electronic shelf label, and price tags, variable information price tags. Next. Now, really, if you look at the full potential of electronic paper or e-paper as we call it, is where we can have displays on very thin substrates. And in those areas, again, we have customers that we are working on, and some of the applications would be, next slide, intelligent wound care, intelligent wearable patches. Imagine putting displays on wearables like intelligent patches. Next one, putting it on paper, where we can bring our technology, our electrochromic reflective technology directly onto paper. Right now, we sell a plastic, flexible plastic display. Really, the full potential of e-paper as we see it is printing our electrochromic products onto flexible substrates for customers. We could do this ourselves for them, or we could license our technology where large, perhaps consumer packaged good companies can produce the label at the point of manufacturing. So that kind of gives hopefully a context for how we look at our commercialization pipeline along short-term, mid-term, long-term with the examples that I shared with you. So with that, I'll give it back to you, Alicia, to take questions.
Thank you. And before we take questions, I want to just have Keith give a little bit of an update to our investors on the sales side. Keith, do you have a little bit update for us?
Sure. Thank you, Alicia. Quickly, I'll echo a little bit of what Ramin said and just let you know how this works in sales. Right now, we have a very balanced opportunity portfolio. Before, we were very focused on the larger, long-term, I'll say sexier opportunities, which we still are working on. However, we focused also on traditional display markets. And this is very important because they have a shorter time to market, which means they can convert the sales much faster. So, and in these areas, I can't always tell you specific customers. You can use your imagination. So we are speaking to electronic shelf label companies. We're speaking to major brand holders in the board game industry, major brand holders in credit card industry, healthcare, and hygiene products, and also beverage industry, very major brand holders in the beverage industry. So we have a lot of interest, and some of this comes from reorienting our company, calling ourselves e-paper, which we are and we always were. This is not a change in technology. This is just a change in really understanding how the market sees our products and responds to the products. And we can tell you we're getting very, very good responses there. You may have heard, if you've been on investor calls before, a lot about printed electrochromic displays. That is still what we are making. That's still how we make them. But what we make is e-paper. Printed electrochromic is our type of e-paper. There are other types of e-paper out there. But in reality, what's very exciting is there's really only one major market holder in the e-paper industry, and it's a very large market. And so now we're really the only other player in low power e-paper, which is very exciting. We're going to get our piece of the pie. We're going to get a significant piece of this market, and we're going to expand the market because we're lower cost. So lower cost opens up opportunities that weren't there before. For example, in electronic shelf labels, you typically only see them on higher end products that are very expensive. So maybe that's only 5% of what's available in retail. By lowering the cost, you're going to see electronic shelf labels on almost all products. So that market is many, many times the size of the current market, which is already a large market. So we're very excited for that reason. So reorienting ourselves and having a balanced opportunity portfolio where we're just not answering every customer that knocks on the door, but we're specifically targeting markets where we know that our technology has a significant advantage, be it price or features. So, and we can see the results of this focused effort, and we have a lot of sales that are, you're going to see, some good opportunities that come to fruition this year. So we still have the 5-year projects and the 3-year projects and the 2-year projects. Now we have the shorter term projects that can go to market quickly. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Keith. Now we will be asking some questions. These have come to us so far. One question I think for Ramin is, what is holding the company's growth back? Maybe you can help explain that.
Twofold. One is focus. We have looked at many different opportunities that we did not have the bandwidth to deliver on. So focus was one of the areas that we have realigned ourselves. The second one is around product commercialization. A lot of the products that we show to customers that they have interest in need to be optimized and manufactured at the right cost. So we are focusing on areas where we think there are higher margins, a better fit for us. We are optimizing the product and we are scaling it up. So product optimization and product commercialization or product scale up, if you will, high volume scale up, need to be planned around things that we can do first year, second year. So I would say focus and manufacturing.
Thank you, Ramin. Next one I think would be coming to Keith. What is the projection of sales for the next year?
The sales forecast for next year is about $1 million. So simply.
And is there any focused areas that you think would be with the customers that you're looking at right now?
Yeah, they would be in industrial indicators, hygiene products, and maybe in credit card would be probably the more imminent things that we do. And in these sales, in these customers, right, we're already getting orders for customizing the display. So we know the production order is going to be, maybe 6 months out, right? So we have a process, right? You have an RFQ, then we make a proof of concept or a prototype. The prototype gets approved, it gets refined. Then we go to pilot production and mass production. So we see the ball moving down the field, so to speak, and that's why we have a good confidence on these markets.
Okay, and another question I think goes for that. How do you qualify the commercial value of the short-term deals?
It's the customer. They tell us what their projections are and what they could sell. We have a higher confidence if it's an existing product and we're replacing something that's there. So some of the more mature customers, they know what they can sell. Previously, when we were much more focused on R&D projects, those customers' their markets had not been developed yet. So basically, we're trying to figure out what something's worth from someone who doesn't necessarily know what their market is worth because they've never done it before. It's not because they don't know what they're doing. It's because they're venturing into new territory, and as Ramin referred to it, Horizon 3. And these are great because these are huge, huge potential markets. But you look at someone I don't know, like a Tesla or a SpaceX, right? It didn't exist, and they had to do things that couldn't be done, and it's hard to say what that will take. So even for us, it could be an ecosystem issue. So like our display might be ready to use in a specific application, but the associative electronics or things that have to work with our product are not ready yet. So we're also more focused on customers and markets where the ecosystems develop, where we can get the drive electronics or the integration can be done, right? So it can be done, not just things that are very future, which again, we're not ignoring the future things because those have enormous potential, but of course they have the most risk.
Another question is, do you see a possibility to generate repeatable business short term?
For me, that's all I'm focused on. I am only focused on run rate repeat business. The company as a whole also focuses on, we do R&D projects and other types of projects as well. But as the VP of sales, I only really care about repeat business. So we're building a portfolio of business where customers that we win today, 4 years from now, we will still be shipping those customers plus the customers that we build onto those. So we build a base of business.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I can build on that. That's one of the ways we qualify new business. So Keith, that's one of his qualification criteria for us, that it has to be large, it has to be profitable, and it has to be repeatable. That's how we qualify accounts.
Right. Absolutely. And even ones that are R&D projects, I don't even handle. We do handle, but I don't even handle those. It's a separate marketing effort.
Okay, perfect. And maybe we can give an upgrade or give us an update on the progress with the food and medicine temperature labels.
Yeah, we've been working on that a long time. And I know you've been hearing about it a long time. And the reason it's taking so long is these markets also have high agency approval requirements. You can imagine medical in the US, you need FDA, and there's a lot more time it takes even for the customer to evaluate and to make sure the product can be used in the market. So we are getting closer on those because we have been working on them for a few years. So I wouldn't call that short-term business. We may win it in the short term because we have 2 years invested in developing these products and working with these customers. So yes, we have a number of customers in this market that we're working with and also are close to doing something. But it always takes longer. The gestation period for these type of products is longer. Medical gestation periods could be 3 years for a product development.
Mhm.
But the good news is, I will say one thing, the good news is you'll ship it for 10 years. I mean, it's an annuity. Well, once you get it, you have it forever. So.
How long is the typical sales cycle and average to close a deal with projects in the Horizon 1 area of Ynvisible?
That's a good question. The shortest is probably about 3 months. I would say typical is 6 to 9. If we're talking about production, we might get an NRE in 3 months. And production probably takes 6 to 9 months, I would say, short term, where we start producing product.
That's an excellent question.
Perfect.
It is.
When will major orders finally be announced, or can the new order for the Signage sign project in Croatia be called a major order? And how much will this bring in terms of liquidity?
That's also a very good question. The Signage project that you've seen is not a major order, but it is a major milestone because it is a new implementation in the market that we have targeted. So it affirms us that, yes, this is something we can do and something that our product is suited for. That one in particular is not a gigantic project. It's I don't know if it's going to move the needle from sales numbers, but I think it's a major milestone. And I'm sorry, Alicia, what was the first half of that question again?
How much is going to burn the second half? Maybe I can address the second half. How much of the equity is going to burn? The burn rate is, we have it. Well, the last time we raised financing was exactly to address the product scale up and manufacturing of our products like this one. The burn rate for this particular product is going to be higher, but it is an investment because once we do it for the first product, it can be translated to all the other products in adjacent market. So the burn rate for Signage is going to be higher. I'm not going to give it a number, but we are investing. We are investing in product development. We're investing in licensing. We're investing in scale up. So the burn rate on this particular product is going to be disproportional to the value, but the learnings and the investment is going to be directly translated to all the other subsequent products that we are going to be working on. That's a very good question also.
Yep. I'll also say one more thing. The average selling price is much higher. It is 10 to 50 times what our previous average selling price would be.
Okay. What are the 2023 objectives?
In terms of commercial objectives or sales?
I would think for commercial objectives and sales, or maybe both of you can answer that question. One regarding sales and one remain as the permanent CEO of Ynvisible, as we announced yesterday.
So the organizational objective is to align against market opportunities, to have a balanced portfolio of near-term, mid-term, long-term products, and a team, a product development and product commercialization team that can shorten that timeline that we're talking about from sales to product on the market. That is our organizational and portfolio objectives. So I would like to, in 2023, I would like to have the team in place, the portfolio set, and the investment targeted toward the highest value opportunities, commercial opportunities. The sales objectives, I'll pass to Keith.
Thank you. Yeah, so we're one of the sales objectives is to expand our market presence, to expand obviously our sales dollars and our network. So we're expanding our sales network. We've added a European sales manager. Will begin May 1st. We'll make an announcement of that, but that's happening. We've added a European distributor, and we'll be adding a few more European distributors and maybe even another US distributor. So our sales network is growing. Again, this is something that Ynvisible didn't have previously. We had sales, but we did not have a dedicated sales team, and we did not have a dedicated sales network. And that was because of our more R&D oriented approach then, which again, we still have. So the objectives there are to grow our sales number and our network. And I want to have customers in our target markets, a few customers in each, 2 to 3 solid run rate customers in each of our target markets, digital signage, retail, authenticity, in these markets. And so we start building our market presence, and we'll be doing trade shows in those markets.
Very nice. This is an interesting question. Since hearing the news that many companies have had supply shortages due to the pandemic, it'd be interesting to know if Ynvisible has also experienced any outages and delays or additional costs due to COVID and supply chain problems. Thank you very much. Yes.
Yes, I'll take that, Keith. Yes, but the effect on us has not been as significant as a lot of major manufacturers that are dependent on raw materials. So we have seen delays in getting base materials for our pilot scale up or for our product development activities. It hasn't had a significant impact, and that's the important thing. It hasn't had as significant of an impact on us as it had per se in the car industry or in the base material industry, which are dependent on commodity raw materials. Most of the materials that we get are custom materials. The lead times have gone from, let's say, 4 to 6 weeks to 10 weeks, 12 weeks, but usually we can negotiate with the supplier. A lot of times we can negotiate with the supplier because our volumes are low.
Yeah, but I can tell you from the electronics industry that that's minuscule compared to what the electronics industry is suffering, and other display companies. Other display companies are seeing 50-week lead times, 1-year lead times, or having to completely eliminate products. So I'm glad that was it. That's a great advantage that we have. We're not nearly dependent on China, right? There are some products we can source, but we don't have to. So that is a huge advantage that we have. The sourcing 10 weeks is nothing nowadays. I mean, really, it's insignificant.
Right. And our volumes are small relative to other major, our volumes are small. So usually we can get what we want. We have been affected, but it hasn't been a major drag on our business.
Right.
This is another question. Is Ynvisible or the business affected by the surging energy prices, or would you rather consider the current situation as an advantage and a reason to buy Ynvisible products because of the low power consumption?
You can take it, or I can remove.
That's a tough question. That's a tough question. It would probably trickle down to us. We are not in high energy consumption applications like automotive. So it could trickle down to us. I don't have a strong view on it one way or the other. I haven't seen it yet. So we are going after super low power type of application. The areas that we compete with are usually, we're talking about a couple of volts. So it hasn't, it has affected the raw material prices for sure. Film, adhesive, so it has affected our raw material costs. But in terms of the positioning of our product for lower energy costs, do we get more customers coming to us because of energy prices? I haven't seen that. I don't know what you think, Keith.
Yeah, I think it's an advantage, although it's not something we've been able to necessarily use to, win business over others. But our density for shipping, we could ship a lot of displays in a very small package. Ramina just told me the other day, which I didn't even know, we can actually ship rolls of displays. So we could put tens of thousands of displays in a very small package. So we don't, as far as shipping goes, those costs, I think the impact is very low to us.
Mhm.
Right. So I would say the same, kind of in the similar vein as effect of COVID on us, energy prices. It has affected our raw material cost, but we are small. We don't buy too much, a very large amount of raw materials. So most of our cost is around product development, market development, sales. So on our P&L, it hasn't been a big hit.
Okay.
Our P&L hasn't been a big hit. On our customer side, I don't. So.
And there's another question. What are the short-term and long-term goals of our stock price? And does Ynvisible see another capital increase in the future, in the near future?
We are not happy with our stock price. We are not happy with our stock price where it is now. We have a target for our stock price by end of the year. I'm not sure I'm at the liberty to share that with you at this webinar, but yes, we do have a target for our price. I have a target. It's part of my objective as a CEO from the board that I have a target objective where the stock price needs to be by end of the year and where we would see the right value for our stock by end of 2023. I can comment to that. What was the second part of the question?
Do you think that we need to do a capital increase, I would say, in 2022?
Probably not.
Mhm.
Probably not in 2023, 2022. We have good funding for the remainder of the year. The capital that we raised last time was specifically to get us to our first set of orders. Once we have that and we look to expand our footprint to go to what I viewed as Horizon 2 projects, which may need additional capital, electronic shelf label, high volume electronic shelf label, we may revisit that. So the answer to the question is based on the portfolio that we have for our near term, we feel like we have what we need. Longer term, if we were to expand our footprint, we would consider that.
Mhm.
So we have no plans for 2022.
Yeah. And this is another question. I would like to ask if the company sees or has been able to identify any possible risks to its business model in the mid or long-term horizons.
No. I think that the biggest challenge for us, from my perspective, it's not whether we're going to be a mid-sized company, is if we are going to be a major player, if we are going to find that billion-dollar application that we are looking to find. And those applications are the ones that, as Keith was suggesting, are not currently available, right? These are the new applications that we're going after. Printing on fabric, printing on paper. So the risk is not so much from the market, it's our ability to deliver the technology at the cost point that the market wants. So I would say that the risk is not external. The risk is, if we are to be a billion-plus company, we have to take this technology to the next level where we can be e-paper printing on flexible substrates from paper to fabric to non-woven.
Mm-hmm.
So I hope I answered that question.
Yes. And I have a question here. If you sell low volumes at much lower prices than the competition, the overall revenue and market share are remaining small. How many units more in percent would you have to sell more in order to reach the break-even point?
Keith?
Yeah, so again, we have a varied market, market spread. So as far as price versus volume, so I would say it's more of a customer engagement, right? So we don't really engage in a customer that's worth, say, less than $100,000 to $200,000. So we have some customers that their resale is $15 and they're looking at 10 to 30,000 units per year. Then we have other customers where the price is 10 or 20 cents and they're looking at millions of displays. So because we have these other market segments now that don't require, shaving pennies, we're not as concerned about that. But the question does make sense, but because we can have maybe 1/3 of the $20 displays and another third of $1 to $2 displays, and then another third of 10-cent displays, it's a big spread. So it's hard to say an exact number, but we are definitely have some customers that are in the million display range and other customers in the 10,000 range. But still, the minimum size is $100,000 to $200,000 before we're involved.
Nice. This is a specific question. What are the biggest advantages and challenges if you compare Ynvisible with a Norwegian company, Pricer?
Oh, yeah. So they're not really a competitor to us. They would be a potential customer for us, right? So we're not actually making, at least not currently anyway, finished electronic shelf labels. We are selling our displays into electronic shelf label manufacturers. So Pricer would be a target customer for us.
Okay, perfect. And then another question is, why is commercialization to execution lasting so long, and what is missing to finally have revenues and profits? Or who are the key people and partners in order to enable us to do this? And what products are ready? And please reduce endless rocket science of R&D.
I appreciate that question. I appreciate that because rocket science is very sexy and it has very big numbers attached to it. But who can predict what will come, what will work, and what won't work? So I would say we went from 100% rocket science down to 20% rocket science. And so
thanks to Keith for that. And thanks to Keith for that. Keith is keeping us grounded and honest. So why I started with that. Why is it taking us as long to get the product to the market? Is focus. Go after the opportunities where we have clear advantage and we can produce millions of displays on our manufacturing line. So one was focus, another one was organization, aligning the organization, product development, product testing, high volume manufacturing, to go from innovation. I would not call it rocket science, call it innovation. I would not call it research and development for research development, but being an innovation company where you're looking at realms of possibilities in e-paper, to a company that sells products for profit, takes a cultural shift. Our people need to make a cultural shift from looking at innovation, the realm of possibility around innovation, to product sales, profitable sales. So one was focus. The other one is investment in people and processes where we can do this. And that's one of the reasons where I started the webinar by saying Inesh is going to be critical in us making that mental and organizational shift from innovation to product sales. And that started with Keith coming on board this year and changing our mindset, saying, I need to sell product. Where's my product? I have an order. Show me when am I going to get my product? And he's breathing on our back, keeps saying, I want the product by this date. And that has shifted our mindset. That we have to pace our innovation. And that's what I was saying. We still are going to do innovation, but we have to pace it so that we get products to, as we get products to the market, we continue to fund our innovation. So for me is make the quarter, build the future, How do we pay for our innovation ourselves in the near term? As we're looking at longer term projects, we're making money.
Absolutely.
Great. Another question is focused on the electronic shelf labels. If we talk about the company SES Imago Tag, is one of the market leaders for years. How would you attack their business? Or in other words, how would you differentiate yourselves from such big key players that are already in the space?
Let me take that question, Keith, if you don't mind,
Sure.
because there is a product development aspects to it. Electronic shelf label is a big, big market. There are parts of electronic shelf label that we will not be able to address with our current technology. We know that. So the resolution of our product, we cannot do pixelated displays. We cannot do small numbers, small writings. And our contrast ratio is probably not sufficient as is for some of the electronic shelf labels. So we are not going after all electronic shelf label. We're going after niche application where the retailer's looking for a lower cost, lower power type of displays, perhaps larger displays. So we are targeting the electronic shelf label, not the entire market as a whole, but niche applications, specialty applications where the current solution does not meet the price or the performance type of requirement.
Okay.
But it is electronic shelf label. If you look at it, it's the biggest, most promising part. But with our technology as it is today, and we have looked at it many times, we are being realistic about what parts of electronic shelf label business we can afford. The good news is it's a very, very large market. And for us, we see opportunities that are significant and material in that field.
Indeed.
I have another question. I have someone that wants to come visit Ynvisible. Now, how would they do that if they want to come to, let's say, Germany or Portugal? How would one want to, if they want to come see our locations, how would they do that?
It depends on who it is. I mean, we have a business to run. So we got to see how many people want to come and when they want to come, and we schedule it. I would turn that to you, Alicia, to tell us if there is, if it's someone wants to really see it and we organize it, you're more than welcome. There is, as investors, you're more than welcome to come and see us. Obviously, we have proprietary projects that we are running. So we have to be cognizant that we bring people who are our investors and are interested to see us, and we can plan it. But to answer that question, you're welcome, more than welcome to see us, but it needs to be planned and perhaps screened that, you know, we protect our intellectual property.
So what I'm thinking is what one of these questions is that the investors would like to maybe have an open house, let's say in Germany, and we could actually have a day where you guys can come and see, because we do have a lot of investors that are located in Germany. And I think that might be something that the investors would really like to see our offices.
That's for you to organize,
So let's
Alicia.
put it out to the
We would consider it, but if you would like to do that, if investors, you want to have an open house, we can organize that. Germany is our smallest office. Czerneka and Linköping, you probably have a lot more to see. In Germany, you're going to see our testing equipment, which may not be as impressive. Our testing and benchtop type of, so you see a small lab where we're doing prototyping in the lab and we test those. If you want to see screen printing and manufacturing, Czerneka for investors, Czerneka or Linköping could be probably more interesting, but I leave that to you, Alicia, when, how, and which location we have open houses at.
Perfect. That's great. Another one is, I think, to Keith. How is the situation expanding on the sales team? Could you already recruit the desired number of salespeople? Have you recruited your desired number, or are you wanting to recruit more?
Yeah, we're probably going to recruit one more manager. However, building with distributors and manufacturers reps, which is more common in the United States, less common in Europe. That's why we added a European sales manager first. Europe does, so in US we have manufacturers reps who are not on your payroll. They get paid commission based on sales. So the great thing is that doesn't cost us anything. So we have a number of sales reps in the United States already in the major markets and have already begun to sell our products. We had a European sales manager because we're going to build out our distribution channel and direct sales in Europe. So yes, so we've recruited everybody we want for now. I would say probably before the end of the year, we may recruit a US sales manager as well. But for now, I'm doing that. I'm filling that role for the time.
Perfect. Do we have any more? I don't think we have any more questions. Maybe this is a last time for someone to wrap it up. If you have any more questions, please type in your question. And then for Keith and Ramin, do you have any lasting thing you would like to impart on our investors?
Keith, do you want to go first?
Yeah, I'll go first and you can finish. I'd say these are great questions, by the way. They're insightful and really show that people are paying attention to what we are talking about and the direction of the company. And I'm really happy with the direction of the company. It was the innovation aspect of the company, by the way, that had drew me here, because I do believe we will be the razor blades of displays, that we will have the only disposable displays, and that future is enormous. So that's why I'm here. But I appreciate all the questions that are so really pertinent and applicable to exactly what we're doing and exactly the direction we're going in. And I hope everybody realizes that we really are going in the correct direction for the company and doing the right things, and have a great team of people here. I really do enjoy working with everybody at Ynvisible, and we have good products and good people, and the rest is just for us to execute. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Keith. So I would like to just echo what Keith said. These were very insightful, very relevant questions. I want to thank you for that. I want to thank you for your interest in Ynvisible. I want to finish by saying neither I nor the management team nor the board is happy with our stock price where it is today. We are confident we have the right team and the right technology and the right customers to get to where we want to get to. We feel like we've got the resources we need from a financial perspective, capitalization perspective, to deliver against those opportunities. And I would not, I'm honored to take the job of CEO, permanent CEO, based on what I've seen in the last 3 months as interim CEO and the last year as chairman of the board. What I see, what I've worked with, gives me confidence that we can deliver against the promise that you have seen by investing in Ynvisible. So I want to thank you for your interest and your investment in Ynvisible.
So I think that concludes our webinar for today. We will be putting out more webinars going forth. We'll have them probably every end of the month, depending. So please stay tuned and follow us on social media, because that's where we put out interesting facts and events and just updates that you might not get regularly if you just subscribe to our newsletter. And we're on all social media channels. And if you have any questions, please send it to ir@ynvisible.com, and we're more than happy to answer any of your questions. Thank you very much for taking the time out today and listening to our presentation. And I hope that gave you a little bit more clarity on where Ynvisible is going and where we're heading. Thank you very much, and have a wonderful day.